Good morning, everyone. I always seem to have problems with this phone falling over. There we go. Welcome to Power Yoga, everyone. I do have a suggested playlist. It's Power Yoga 070820 on my Spotify. So today we are working on Crow. I had posted, as I try to adjust this here, yesterday for the next three Power Yoga classes, the next three Wednesdays, we're going to be focusing on arm balances. We're building up to Fallen Angel. So today we start with Crow, just kind of the gateway arm balance pose. Next week we'll do Side Crow, and then the third week we'll go into Fallen Angel, which is a variation on Side Crow. So if you are well versed in arm balances, or you're just kind of getting started with or it's something you're interested in and you want to try out, welcome to class. So crow pose is called Bakasana. It's crow or crane pose, which is a little bit different variation with straight arms instead of bent elbows, but the rest of the body is the same there. And this arm balance and most arm balances take core and upper body strength. So if you're not getting the pose, if you're not getting up there, that's okay. It takes a lot of practice, and it takes mental work as well to do the arm balances, because it is a bit of a trust with your body that you can hold yourself up there. So give yourself space, give yourself time, be gentle with yourself. And we will get started today actually in our child's pose. So we're just going to do poses today, a little bit of a flow to build up, warm up our body and build some strength up for our crow pose today. So start with big toes touching, knees can be close or wide, arms reach forward, and your forehead can rest on the mat. If this isn't comfortable, bend your elbows, place one hand on top of the other, or even put a block underneath your forehead if that feels good as well. And we're just going to pause here for a few breaths. Just nice deep breaths here. And JJ came by to say good morning. I think with all of this, all these virtual classes, at first it was a little bit of a novelty to have me down here doing class, and he'd come and visit, and now he kind of doesn't care. It's just the usual now. Take about 2 more rounds of breath here, starting to soften the muscles and just starting to let go so you can focus your mind on class and what we're going to accomplish today. Go ahead and rise up into tabletop, bringing the wrists under the shoulders, the knees under the hips, spine is long. We're going to start with a nice cat-cow. As you inhale, let your belly drop, head and hips rise. And as you exhale, arch your back up towards the sky like a cat. Just get the spine nice and warm here, moving with your breath, taking any extra moves you'd like. So cat is a great warm-up pose for crow pose, because you want to arch your back when you're in crow pose. That's going to help you pull in and up with your core. So you want a nice arch to your back. So really working on that cat pose today and cow to build that flexibility in your spine. We're going to take about 2 more rounds of breath. One more round. And then find that nice neutral spine. Shift your weight. You're going to reach your right arm and your left leg out. And then come back into tabletop. And then we're just going to switch. Inhale to lengthen out. Exhale, find your way back. Weight in all 4 limbs. Inhale to reach. And bring it back in. Let's go one more time each side, and then we're gonna add a knee to elbow here to again work on the core, work on lifting up through the core and arching the back. Good, so right arm, left leg, reach out. And as you exhale, bring your knee to your nose, curl your back in like that cat. Inhale to reach it out. Come back into tabletop. And then we're gonna switch it up. Left arm, right leg, knee to nose, cat. And you can really exaggerate, push into the right hand and the left knee as you arch up. Inhale to reach it out and bring it back in. Now let's do one more each side. Inhale to reach, elbow to knee, really push into the ground to press your back up. Reach it out and in, and then one more here. Inhale to lengthen, come back into that tabletop. Reset your position, and you're gonna put your weight in your left hand, reach your right arm up and up. Slide that arm underneath, threading the needle, and you can bring the side of your head to the ground. Your left hand can stay where it's at. It can reach forward. It can wrap around your back. Whatever feels good here. Just take a couple breaths in this little twist. So throughout class, I'll be kind of throwing different cues out at you to help you out. Like I said, it's upper body, it's core, so it can be very intense. And I'll show you variations of crow using blocks as well to help you get into that position. Bring your left hand under your shoulder, rise up, sweep the right arm out. Come back into tabletop and switch sides. Press into that right hand, the left fingers reach out. Slide that arm underneath. And then right hand can be wherever it's comfortable. Take a few breaths here in your twist. And as we're breathing here, so some of the benefits of crow pose are that it strengthens your wrists, your forearms, your shoulders. It also strengthens your abdomen, stretches out your upper back, strengthens the inner thighs as well. And mentally, it improves your confidence, endurance, and mental focus. And it also helps with balance and core strength. So lots of benefits for crow pose. Bring that right hand underneath your shoulder, sweep the left fingers out and up, come back into that tabletop. We're gonna find our way into down dog. So if you need to walk your hands forward a little bit, go ahead. We're gonna pause before we fully press up. So one of the things that's important to take the pressure off your wrists in not just crow pose, but in yoga in general, is to shift your weight into your fingertips and your knuckles. So you're almost making a cupping motion with your hands to take pressure off your wrists. So see how I can lift my wrists up here? Lift up the heel of my hand so the pressure goes forward instead of into my wrists. And then you're going to tuck your toes, press your hips up and back. Keep that weight in your fingertips as you take a few breaths to pedal it out. Maybe move the hips side to side or anything else that feels good. So take a few breaths here. That's one thing we hear a lot about as yoga teachers is wrist pain and wrist problems. And as we're working, we may cue that in class, but as you're working in class, you may not think about it, and then your weight will settle back into the heel of your hand, putting that pressure on your wrist again. So I'll be cueing that throughout class. So we think about that in our brain, and it kind of clicks in our brain. Take the weight to the fingertips, out of the wrist. That's going to help you in crow pose, and it's going to help you throughout your practice to not have that wrist pain or to lessen the wrist pain. On your next exhale, bring some stillness into your dog. Hug the elbows in. Imagine the shoulder blades sliding up the back. Relax your neck and your jaw. Inhale, lift up to the balls of your feet. Bend your knees, glance to your hands, and then step your feet forward about hip distance. Pause here. Let your head hang heavy and take a couple breaths. If you want to grab opposite elbows, sway side to side, anything that feels nice, just let your head be heavy. So it can pull down on your spine, create space, lengthen everything out. You're going to take one more round of breath. Press into the soles of both feet as you gently roll up. Stack your vertebra one on top of the other. Shrug your shoulders back a few times. Open everything up. Heel toe so that your heels come under your hips. Take a breath in. Exhale, open up. And then take a pause here. Shrug the shoulders back, palms open up. Engage the entire core, including those lower abs. Bring the tailbone in line with the spine. Take a breath through your nose. Open mouth, exhale, soften everything. Take a big breath in. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale to reach it up. Soften your knees and fold. And inhale, halfway lift, so fingertips can come to the ground or your shins. Spine is long, your gaze is down on the ground, and fold. Root down through your feet to roll up. Hands to heart. Let's do that a couple more times. Inhale, reach up, grow through the spine. Exhale, fold with a flat back. Halfway lift, lengthen through the crown of the head, and fold. Root down through the feet, rise up, reaching for the sky. And hands to heart. One more time. Inhale to reach. Exhale to fold. Halfway lift to that long spine. And fold. Root down through your feet to rise up. Hands to heart. We're really going to work the hips, the inner thighs, and the core today. Inhale to reach. And fold. Take that half, lift out, step your right foot back behind you, heel toe your left foot over just a little bit. Bring your hands under your shoulders into a nice lizard pose, and pause here for a couple breaths. Good, so feel free to lower and lift that back knee. Take a couple breaths here. Good, and then lift that knee, press into the fingertips, step back to down dog. Shift forward into your plank, and that can be toes or knees. Hug the elbows in, weight in your fingertips as you lower down to your belly. Shrug the shoulders back, press into the tops of the toes, lift your heart, lengthening through the crown of the head. Tuck your toes, press back to down dog. Right foot steps forward into that lunge. Lift your heart. Left foot steps up to meet it. Press down through both feet to rise up. Hands to heart. Inhale to reach. Soften your knees to fold. Left foot steps back. Heel toe the right foot out just a little. Come in that lizard pose for a couple breaths. Bend and lengthen the leg. Take just a few breaths here. And then tuck that back toe, lift the knee, step back to down dog. Shift into your plank, hug the elbows in and lower down to your belly. Shoulders shrug back, shoulders away from ears as you lift your heart. Press back to down dog. Left foot steps up into a lunge, lift your heart. Right foot steps up to meet it. Press down through your feet to rise up. Hands to heart. Woo, inhale to reach. Exhale to fold. Add that half lift again. Lengthen through the crown of the head and fold. Plant your hands, step or hop back to your plank. Weight in your fingertips. Elbows hug in as you lower down. Shoulders shrug back, lift your heart. Press back to down dog. Just going to do a nice vinyasa flow here. Right leg lifts to the sky. Pause here. Dial your hip bones and toes down so you want your hips nice and square. And I'll turn this way so I don't have my back to you. And then bring your knee into your nose. Curl your back in like a cat. Inhale, lengthen that leg out. Let's do that 2 more times. Knee to nose. Keep your weight in your fingertips, taking it out of the wrist and the heel of the hand. 1 more time, knee to nose. Lengthen that leg out. Then bring your knee into your nose, step your right foot forward, turn in your left heel. Rise up, warrior 2. Ooh, so we're gonna work in warrior 2 a bit today. We're ready to fight, we're ready to go. Root down into the outer edge of that left foot. All 10 fingers are strong. Peek down, make sure you can see that right big toe. Shoulders shrug back, shoulder blades down the back. Gaze is strong over your right hand. Inhale, reach up for the sky, lengthen the right leg. Exhale, back to warrior 2. Inhale, reach it up. We're going to take cactus arms here. Bend the elbows. Open up the chest. Squeeze the shoulder blades. Reach back up. Open up, warrior 2. Pause here for your inhale. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down to frame your right foot. Step back to plank. Back to plank. Hug the elbows in. Lower down. Shrug your shoulders back to lift your heart. Press back to down dog. Left leg lifts to the sky. Pause here. Dial your toes and your hip bones down to face the ground with those hips nice and even. Weight is in your fingertips. Knee to nose. Really curl in your back, and you can exaggerate that. And then lengthen it out. We've got 2 more like that. Knee to nose. And lengthen. And 1 more. Good. Bring that knee into your nose. Step the left foot forward. Turn in the right heel. Open up, warrior 2. Root down to the outer edge of that right foot. Shoulder blades slide down the back. Fingers are strong. Shoulders away from ears. Inhale, reach for the sky. Really press into the feet. Open up, warrior 2. Inhale to reach. Take those cactus arms. Bend the elbows. Open up the chest. Rise up. Warrior 2. Pause for your inhale. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down to frame your foot. Step back to your plank, toes or knees. Hug the elbows in to lower down. Press into the fingertips. Shrug the shoulder blades down the back. Press back to down dog. Inhale, pause. Exhale, step or hop your feet forward. Halfway lift, lengthen through the crown of the head and fold. Root down through the feet to rise up. Hands to heart. We're going to go through 1 more time. Inhale to reach. Soften your knees to fold. Halfway lift, long spine. And fold. Plant your hands, step or hop back to plank. Weight in the fingertips. Hug the elbows in to lower. Inhale to lift your heart. Exhale, down dog. Right leg lifts to the sky. Exhale, knee to nose. Really curl in that back. You can exaggerate that cat. Inhale to lengthen it out. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale to lengthen it out. Hug the elbows in that down dog. 1 more time, knee to nose. Lengthen it out. Bring that foot all the way forward. Turn in your back heel. Open up, warrior 2. Inhale, reach up to the sky. Take those cactus arms. Rise up. Open up, warrior 2. Pause here for your inhale. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down to frame your foot. Step back to plank. Take that flow, hugging the elbows in. Shrugging the shoulder blades back. Pressing back to down dog. Weight in your fingertips, elbows hugged in. Inhale, left leg lifts to the sky. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, knee to nose. 1 more time. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, knee to nose. Lengthen the leg out. Step your foot forward, turn in your back heel. Rise up, warrior 2. Inhale, reach for the sky, lengthen the left leg. Cactus arms, bend the left leg. Inhale to reach. Open up, warrior two. Pause for the inhale. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down to frame your foot. Step back to plank, flow, or down dog. If you need to take a little bit of a break, you can take that active resting pose in down dog. Inhale, glance to the top of your mat. Exhale, step or hop forward. Halfway lift to a nice flat back. And fold. Root down through your feet to rise up. Hands to heart. We're going to open up the hips a little bit more. Inhale to reach and work the inner thighs. And fold. And then take that right foot, step it back behind you. Rise up, warrior two. Straighten your left leg. Heel toe your right foot in just a little bit. You want your wrists over your ankles. Toes are out, heels are in. Shoulders stay over the hips. Bend your knees, bend your elbows, goddess pose. So we're going to pause here for a breath. And again, you want shoulders over your hips. You want to engage the core. It's very easy for that tailbone to tilt up. So you want to engage the lower abs, pull it in underneath. And it's okay if your toes and your knees come in a little bit. You want your knees in line with your toes. Squeeze the shoulder blades. Shoulders stay away from the ears. Take it a little deeper and a little deeper. And then on your inhale, reach up to the sky, lengthen the legs. Exhale, take it as deep as you can. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale as deep as you can. We're going to mix it up here. Inhale, reach it up, come to the balls of your feet. Exhale, keep the heels lifted. Bend the elbows, bend the knees. Again, keep that lower abdominal area engaged. It's okay if your ankles wiggle. It's okay if they wobble. If you need to lower your heels, go ahead. We take one more breath. Take it a tiny bit deeper. Inhale, rise all the way up. Lower the heels, hands to your heart. Heel toe your feet in a bit. So your feet will be about mat distance or so. We're going to come into a nice low squat. Garland squat, Malasana, it's got a lot of names. But it's a little bit of a gateway to get into crow pose. So we're going to start by hands at our heart. Shoulder blades shrug back. Core is engaged. And then you're going to start to bend your knees. So weight comes to your heels, but not all your weight's in your heels. You want a little weight in the balls of your feet. You want to be able to wiggle your toes, but still have a steady base so you don't fall back. And come on down. So find that space where you can keep your back straight, your chest lifted, and bending the knees, and it's comfortable for you. Your knees are in line with your toes. So if this is your squat, that's okay. We're going to take 2 full breaths here. If you're all the way down, press your thighs into your elbows and your elbows into your thighs. Imagine pressing your shoulder blades down the back. Relax your jaw and relax your neck. Inhale, rise all the way up. Press into the soles of your feet. And we're going to mix it up here, stretching out the inner thighs a little bit more. Lift your heels. Come all the way up to the balls of your feet and then bend those knees. Same thing here. Find that low squat. Try and keep your weight in the balls of your feet. Lifting the chest. Taking a couple breaths. A little bit different stretch here. One more breath. Gonna take your hands down to the ground. Lower your heels, lift up. We are going to come down to our back to do a bit of core work before we move into that crow pose. And if you're pretty well versed in crow pose, I'll show you a few variations like funky crow that you might want to try out as well. So let's bring it down to our back. And we're going to do 3 core exercises. I know you guys are super excited. We're going to start with eagle crunches. So you're going to take your right leg, wrap it over your left. Arms come out. Take your left arm under your right. You can grab shoulders or you can do the full bind, your choice. Lift the left foot off the ground, and you're going to lengthen everything out and then curl your back, engage your core. Bring your knee to your elbows. Inhale, open back up. So exhale, curl it in. Inhale, open back up. And you're going to go a full minute here. Woo, 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 yay, core work. Yay, so a couple of things with crow pose. Again, it is a trust issue if you've never done an arm balance or it's been a long time. There's always that thought in your head that you're going to fall forward. That's totally normal. So you can grab a block or a cushion, put under your forehead to help you stay steady and to trust yourself. Or if you don't mind potentially falling on your forehead, you can just see what happens. You've got about 15 more seconds here on this side. Good, you're down to your last 5. You're doing awesome. I know that you're breathing deep, taking your time, and release, and we have to switch sides. So unwrap the legs, take the left leg over the right, arms open back up. Right arm comes under the left. You can grab shoulders or you can do that full bind. Take an inhale. Exhale, knee to elbows, curl it up. Inhale to come back down. Work with your breath here. And the clock is going, guys. So focus on your breath. Don't rush it. It's about quality over quantity always. So it's better to take your time, have good foundation, have good setup and good execution than to go super fast and potentially hurt yourself or cause some repetitive stress on your body. You guys are doing amazing. You have about 20 seconds here and we're done with this second set. I included this as a second one. And then our last core set before we work on that crow is everyone's favorite boat pose. Woo! You've got 3, 2, and 1. And if you want to bring your knees into your chest and wrap them and give them a little hug for a breath here, you can. We're going to bring ourselves up to seated, and I'm going to show you a couple variations for boat pose. So you can have your hands a little bit back behind you, under your shoulders, fingers facing you. The important thing is to have this long spine. It's very easy to let that spine curl in, so you want to keep a long spine. Feet can be down, they can be lifted slightly or all the way. You can also take those hands forward and keep the toes on the ground, just keeping the long spine here. And if you really want to go pretty intense, you can row your boat. You can inhale, lengthen everything out. Exhale, come back into that boat. So time is started now. Pick your poison. Maybe try rowing your boat. See how it feels. Try and keep the legs together. Maybe that's not happening for you today, and that's okay. Find what works with that nice long spine and breathe, 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 breathe. Work with your breath, focus on your breath. Relax your jaw, relax your tongue, relax your shoulders. And just focus on your breath and breathe. You guys are doing amazing. You have 20 seconds left on this one. And then we're going to move into our crow pose and play around there for a little bit. And one really great thing about me doing power and then tomorrow on Thursdays, Build Balance Flow has moved from Fridays to Thursdays. We're going to work on crow pose again tomorrow and Build Balance Flow and release. Fantastic job, guys. Give the knees a little hug. Curl in the back here. Let your forehead come down towards your knees. Take about 2 breaths before we get set up. Grab a drink if you need it. So if you are new to crow pose, or if it's something you've been working on for a little bit here, I suggest grabbing a block, and you have 2 options with this block. You can put it about where your forehead is, and you'll have to play around so that you can have this block here. Forehead rests on it, and you can have that support so you don't fall on your forehead. If you have that fear, you can also take it back behind you. Kind of perch on it like a bird, balls of your feet, and then get a feel for where the rest of your body should be in that crow pose before you start to fly. And it's okay if you don't fly today. It's okay if you don't take that step today. It's no problem. This class will be on my Facebook page and YouTube, and you can go back and watch it and practice your crow multiple times and build up your strength and your courage each time. So to start out, there's two different ways you see people getting into crow. So starting with that Malasana, that wide squat, a lot of people come from here with the knees on the outside of the elbows. Plant the hands, weight in the fingertips, and you shift your weight forward, hugging the knees into the triceps and floating. So that looks more like this. I personally like to bring my knees in and take them up behind, kind of by my armpit on my triceps here. And to me, this feels more secure. So either way is a great choice for you. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with your feet flat, or maybe come up to the balls of your feet. Fingers are spread nice and wide. Palms come to the ground. Weight in the fingertips. So if you're bringing your knees up onto the triceps, under the armpits, not to the outside, you're going to rise up a little bit on the balls of your feet. Shift your weight into the fingertips, into the knuckles. Hug your elbows in, like we do in our chaturanga. Shift your weight forward. And you can stay here, or maybe float one leg, or maybe float two. Woo. Good, so you can play around here, try it that way, try it the other way, block under your forehead, block under your toes, and I'm gonna go through a few different things here too. So very important to hug those elbows in to have a firm base. If your elbows are floating out here, your upper body and your core doesn't have that firm foundation to hold you up, so you may wobble, you may fall easier that way. So hugging the elbows in, shoulder blades slide up the back, ears and shoulders are apart. That back is arched in our cat so that you can lift up and engage the core, and then weight in the fingertips. Let me go ahead and tie this up so you can get a little bit better view of my core here. Wearing, by the way, my awesome Live Like Rue Foundation tank top. It is a great organization out of Chicago that helps families and animals that have cancer. Great to look into the work that they do to help people out. If you love animals, you'll love this organization. So coming up to the balls of the feet, again, weight in the fingertips, in the knuckles. Shift forward, hug the elbows in, bending the elbows. Shifting forward, you're going to keep your gaze on the ground. If you look up here, you're breaking that line of your spine, and you're going to throw off your balance a bit here. So weight in the fingertips to take it out of the wrists. I like to bring my big toes together. To me, that feels good. You might want to have them apart. You want the knees apart. You want to think of pulling your thighs up and in towards each other, making those inner thighs work. And if you have crow, if you're doing awesome, and you want to try funky crow, you're going to put a little more weight in one knee. Keep your weight even in your hands and your fingertips. And you're going to float one knee. So let's see if I've got it today. And you're going to lift one leg. All right, and you may be able to do it and you may not, and that's okay. Again, that takes that core strength. It takes a little more work to it. And I can usually get one leg good and the other leg not so good. So let's take a couple more minutes to play around in our crow. If you have that block under your forehead, you can have it at whatever level. And then hugging the elbows in, shoulder blades slide up the back, forehead to the block, weight in your fingertips, and you can float those toes. Or keep your toes on the ground. If you have two blocks, you can put your toes underneath one and your forehead under the other. So if you have that block under your toes, you're perched here like a bird. And knees come to your armpits almost, shifting your weight. And you can pause here, get a feel for curling up the back, shoulder blades slide up the back, hugging in the elbows, weight into your fingertips. If you want to try crane pose, if you got crow down, try and straighten your arms. So when we start out with crow, our knees kind of rest on our arms, putting pressure, a little pressure on there. And as you start to build up that core strength, working on that funky crow, you'll start to take the weight out of your knees and out of the arms. And that hold is going to be from the core and not your knee resting on the back of your arm. Then you can start to straighten the arms out into crane pose and play around there as well. Ooh, let's take about one more breath if you're still working on it. Actually, let's take a couple more. If you're still working on that crow, if you're working on crane, if you're working on a nice supported crow, beautiful. And if you're done, go ahead and lower your knees. Take a child's pose for a few breaths here. This is a lot of work again on the core, the lower back. Reach the fingers forward. Take some deep breaths. Good. So even though I cued and I know you guys were thinking about weight in the fingertips and the knuckles, it may have shifted back a little bit into the heel of the hand. Another thing to think of as you're working on crow, I know I'm giving you a ton of things, is if you have a mirror handy, you want your elbow to be as close over your wrist as you can so they're nice and stacked. That is going to help you keeping that weight shifted forward a bit. So, and that might not be comfortable for you and that might not work, and that's okay. Let's come on up to a seat and we're going to work out the wrists a little bit before we cool down and stretch everything out. So you can have legs long or knees bent. And you're just going to take your right hand, flex your hand, pull back just slightly on your fingers for a couple breaths. And then you're going to release your hand, bend your wrist, press lightly on the back of your hand to stretch out your forearm, top of your wrist, top of your hand. And release. And then do a couple of circles one way with that wrist. And reverse. Good, and let's switch sides. Left hand, start by flipping it up for a breath. And then flipping that hand down, gently pressing on the back of the hand here. And this is also a nice stretch if you work on the computer a lot or you're on your phone a lot. It gives your wrists a nice little stretch out. And release. Do some circles here and reverse. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and bend your knees, flex your feet. Find your sit bones, sit up nice and tall, reach up to the sky, and hinge forward, keep the spine long. Letting your hands float down to wherever's comfortable. If you have two blocks, you can take them to the outside of your legs and take your hands gently to those blocks. Keep the spine long. So we have a tendency to curl in the back here, but you want to lengthen through the crown of the head and take a few breaths here. Bend your knees as much as you need for less intensity on the low back or hamstrings or glutes. And then gently rise up. Set those blocks to the side. Come on down to your back, bringing your hips about midway on your back. Let me untie this little knot so I don't hurt myself there. Take your right knee into your chest, give it a hug. Take that ankle in front of your thigh, coming into a nice supine pigeon. Feet are flexed. Bring the legs in towards your chest. Keep your low back and your shoulders on the ground and keep the feet nice and flexed, and take a couple breaths here. And another good way to work on crow pose is supine crow. So as you're doing your supine pigeon, you're going to I'll show you, you're going to hug the elbows in, just like your hands are on the ground. Bend your elbows, bring them in towards your rib cage. And then bring your knees towards your elbows and find that crow pose on your back. So you can practice hugging the elbows in, curling in the back, pressing with the fingertips, engaging the inner thighs. Go ahead and release the right leg to the ground. Left ankle comes in front of your left thigh. Find that figure 4. Bringing the legs in towards your belly, keeping your low back and your shoulders flat on the mat. Take a couple breaths here. And again, tomorrow we will build balance flow. We'll work on crow again, and we'll discover the story of behind crow and crane pose as we work on that pose a little bit more. Go ahead and release that leg. Set your foot down. You're going to heel toe your feet nice and wide, about mat distance. Arms out by your side, and just windshield wiper your legs side to side a little bit here. Taking a few breaths. Imagine rolling through your lower back, one side, through the middle, to the other side. Massaging that lower back. And friends, please, please, please reach out if you have questions about crow pose. If you just didn't get my cueing, or there's something that's just not working for you, please reach out, message me. I'm happy to chat with you about it. See how we can get you flying. Come on back to center, knees into your chest for a little bit of a hug. And we're going to take our Shavasana with a block under our lower back, or a cushion, or a rolled up towel or blanket, whatever feels good. So you lift the hips, put your prop under your low back, lift your shoulders, shrug them back, and settle in. And this is a great place to be. Or you can take legs up. You can even move to a wall and put your legs up a wall, or take your legs long. Arms are wherever it's comfortable. Before you fully settle in, I'm going to shut off the video, end it in a moment. So before you fully settle in, you'll want to turn off the video so it doesn't flip to another one. Friends, thanks for coming and flying with me today. Arm balances are my absolute favorite. I'm always happy to answer questions, help you out in any way I can. They're so fun once you get them, once you get that confidence. Once you get them, they're pretty addictive. So take a rest, let your mind and body rest and relax. Breathe, focus on yourself, focus on your present moment. Hope to see you tomorrow on the mat for a little more crow. And from my heart to yours, friends, peace, love, and good health. Enjoy your Wednesday.